Complex News, I'm Hanuman Welch, and I can't be happier that Dark Phoenix is out and will soon be forgotten. When the dozen X films over the last 20 years are laid out side by side, Dark Phoenix will be the one fans look at quietly and ask themselves, did I actually even need to see that one? Dark Phoenix was plagued by production delays, and it was reported that Fox wasn't happy with director Simon Kinberg's initial cut of the film, and that heavy reshoots were taking place. Now, the film was initially scheduled to be released at the end of last year, but was pushed back all the way to 2019 and opened this past weekend. And, now we may know why. We've been hearing for a while that X-Men Dark Phoenix would be pretty bad. And now the first reviews are out, and this Rotten Tomatoes score is pretty rough. Currently, the movie sits at 23%, with the critics' consensus reading, Dark Phoenix ends an era of the X-Men franchise by taking a second stab at adapting a classic comic arc with deeply disappointing results. Phoenix somehow managed the impressive feat of grabbing a lower score than both Apocalypse and, get this, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, don't take my word for it. Here's a handful of reviews that seem to confirm how Fox's final X-Team outing seems almost wholly unnecessary. From the Seattle Times, Phoenix is a joyless addition to the long-running X-Men franchise. 12 movies over 18 years, and one is left with the impression that the series has been too long at the fair. This one from the Washington Post, quote, there's way too much darkness and not enough Quicksilver wit. And finally from the Wrap, quote, in a strange way, it might have been preferable if this was the most embarrassing film in the series, since at least then there'd be a reason to remember it. Yikes. Yes, it is pretty bleak, and that seems to be the almost universal reception to the latest and last X-Men movie from Fox. On top of deflating one of the most iconic comic stories ever published, Dark Phoenix also looks embarrassingly cheap. After the opening astronaut rescue sequence in outer space, the remainder of the film looks like it was heading straight to DVD. Now, before it was dissolved, 21st Century Fox tapped franchise screenwriter Simon Kinberg to step behind the camera, a first-time director who devotes almost zero resources to even attempting to make our mutants feel compelling in any real way. The movie spends far too much time ambling from paint-by-numbers action sequences to on-the-nose dialogue delivered by a cast who look like they're being forced to act as part of a hostage release negotiations. Released nearly a year after its original opening date, Dark Phoenix finds itself in a very different post-Avengers Endgame universe, and bears similarities so close to Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, the movie's third act had to almost be entirely reshot. Speaking with Yahoo Movies, Professor X's James McAvoy said, the end of Dark Phoenix changed a hell of a lot. The finale had to change. There was a lot of overlap and parallels with another superhero movie that came out a while ago, and we had no idea what they were. We were basically trawling through the same source material, it seems. So Dark Phoenix still comes dangerously close to Captain Marvel thanks to the shape-shifting villains and cosmic setting. Now, the X-Men movies have never been big on continuity, but Dark Phoenix barely acknowledges the existence of X-Men Apocalypse as it jumps directly to the year 1992, a time when mutants and humans coexist, and the X-Men are equal parts celebrity/heroes. And look, the movie's not great, but here's the good news. Marvel Studios is going to do something amazing with the X-Men following the Disney-Fox deal, but they're just going to wait just long enough so we forget the entire Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, Ian McKellen universe. Now, this is the last X movie to come for a long time. We wouldn't even be surprised if that long in production Maisie Williams' New Mutants movie ever sees the light of day. And that goes triple for that Channing Tatum Gambit spinoff that's been in various stages of production for the last half-decade. Again, the most exciting part about all of this is the inevitable recasting of the X-Men as they eventually become folded into the MCU. Would President of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige want to keep someone like Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen in the mix as Professor X or Magneto? I mean, probably not. New movies, new blood, and what better way to dispense with all of the origin story stuff and just trust that the fans are already familiar with the characters. As to the how of getting a team of mutants into the MCU without having it seem like they've been hiding there this whole time, I think this summer's Spider-Man Far From Home may have just solved that problem with the introduction of the multiverse. If Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio can get trapped on the Earth 616 following Thanos' snap, why not the same for any of the other X teams? One rumor about how to get the Fantastic Four into the MCU is to have had Marvel's first family off-world, exploring deep space over the past decade, oblivious to the comings and goings of Iron Man, the Avengers, and of course the Hulk. However the X people make their way to the MCU, one thing is for certain, is that they will definitely need to be recast. Get Tom Hardy or Joaquin Phoenix to play Wolverine, Idris Elba as Bishop, go younger or go older with the teams, mix them up from different eras, but just give fans some breathing room between Dark Phoenix and whatever comes next. Thanks to the continuity-bending days of future past, Dark Phoenix closes a nearly two-decade franchise that began with 2000's X-Men. The biggest problem is that Phoenix doesn't ever seem to carry the weight of any of the other previous 11 movies. Who do you want to see recast in the inevitable MCU editions of the X-Men? Let us know in the comments below, and for everything else, subscribe to Complex on YouTube. For Complex News, I'm Hanuman Welch.